Hello and welcome to today's sketching session. My name is Hannah, and I absolutely love it when the weather is this cloudy. It's not usually this cloudy in Arizona, but it's supposed to rain for the next 4 days, and I am just soaking it up and taking all of those amazing feelings and putting it into this sketch. I want this sketch to be pretty loose, so I'm being really rough, and that's kind of on purpose. So I'm not really planning too much ahead of time with the alcohol marker sketch. I'm just kind of going really loosely. And then I plan on adding more details with charcoal afterwards. My main reason for using the markers first is to get some color in with the charcoal. Charcoal is black, and black and white drawings are really, really awesome. However, it's fun to have just like a pop of color underneath. And then I like to use the charcoal just for some drama, and I find it really fun. I've only ever done it with portraits before. This is my first time doing it on a structure, but I'm really excited to see how it turns out. While I am using a reference that I found on Pinterest, I'm not holding myself to perfectionism for this one. I feel really confident in the looseness that I want to achieve. And honestly, doing the scribble for the very first sketch under the house, or for the house shape, was probably the best call in trying to force myself to stay loose. I thought about whether or not I should do the railings with charcoal pencil or with my marker, and I'm just doing marker. Hopefully it turns out okay. I can't imagine that it would be a horrible decision. And then it's got a wrap around the back. I love it already. Some grass in the front. Let's just add it to the roof too. Spread around the warmth. I'm ready for charcoal pencils. I have a hard, medium, and soft, and these were just from Amazon. They were a gift to me from my mother-in-law. And then I also grinded up some charcoal sticks and made this powder. And I like to use this with brushes, so that's my plan for right now. I'm just gonna put this back here for now. This is how I keep my brushes, just in an old mason jar. And I like to use like really cheap makeup brushes from Amazon. These are E.L.F brand, and I think they were like $8 or $10 for like a set of 12 or something. And I don't know what stumps I'm gonna want, so I'm pulling out 3 and we'll see which ones I end up using. Alright, so my plan for the charcoal is to start off getting just a good overall shading, and I'm going to do that with brush and powder. And my goal is just to get like a soft, mild mid-tone area going on. I'm mainly working on texture, so this is going to be, since it's with the brushes, it's going to be really soft texture and not so hard lines. So I'm going to do that all the way around. And then I'll go in with some more contrast and some more detailed lines. Now this paper is so smooth, the charcoal powder doesn't really love to stick to it, so you kind of have to work it around a minute before you get the powder to stay in place. I'm really excited to do this door, but I think most of it is going to be done with the pencils, so I have to refrain a little. When I first saw this reference photo, I was immediately drawn to it, and while I do like that it has a lot of texture on the sides of the building, it almost looks a little bit gross to me. Almost like it has skin lesions, so I'm gonna be toning that down just a little bit. All right, I think I got my goal for the brush done. So I'm gonna move on to the pencil. Clearly, the medium is my favorite, and today is no exception. I'm gonna keep on going with what I like to do. I just really like the darkness that it gives, and it stays in place and doesn't move around too much. I have some trouble with the hard density one because I don't know if it's just the brand that I'm using, but sometimes it doesn't grip onto the paper and you have like skipping lines. I'm not a fan of that, but this medium one doesn't do that, so this is my go-to. I liked the way that the roof looked in the picture, but I really don't want to be too exact with it, so I'm kind of just gonna wiggle my hand a bit and see how it turns out. This area under the roof is going to be the darkest shadow. So I'm laying it on pretty thick here, and then I plan to blend that out a little bit more once we get to the blending stages. This window is pretty awesome to me. It does have some white detail, so I think I have to be really careful about where I add the charcoal, because if I'm going to be adding a white gel pen afterwards, I'm not really sure if the white gel pen sticks onto charcoal, so I'm gonna try to leave the pieces that I want white free of charcoal so I know the white will stick. I hope that makes sense. Some wiggly edges to the house. Now I'm working on getting just a little bit of the detail of the facial lesions without going overboard. I'm so excited to be working on this door. I think the door to any house is probably the most important to get the feeling correct. If you want the house to feel inviting, it's all in the door feeling vibe, whatever you want to call it. It has to be welcoming. Add a little bit more straggling details. This is where I'm thanking myself for doing some of the shadow work for the stairs, for underneath the stairs with the marker, because I can go around those shapes now that I'm using the pencil and kind of play off of that, and I don't have to work so hard to get some really interesting shapes. These are supposed to be cobblestones, and I don't want them to look perfect, so random wiggles is kind of what we're going for here. I think there needs to be some kind of a structure holding this balcony in place, so I'm just going to add those. And then add a little bit more texture with the side of my charcoal pencil. I'm just about done with my pencil, and I think I'm ready to go in with a smudger and blend out some stuff. I'm a little bit nervous about this part because I really do like how it looks right now, but I'm feeling like I want to see what will happen if I follow through with my original plan. And you know, if I'm not happy with it at the end, it's all a learning experiment anyway. I'm having so much fun that I don't think that this time spent doing this could even really be considered a loss, because art is just fun, right? That's the point of art, is doing it, not so much the end result. One thing that I'm noticing is that it's starting to look like a haunted house. While I do love haunted houses, that wasn't my intent for this one. So I think that if I brighten up this area in the house's forehead, it might look a little bit more welcoming. That helped a tiny bit, but let me see what else I can do to push it in the direction that I want it to go and make it look a little bit more welcoming. Okay, I have this red powder. It came in the same package as the charcoal stick that I grinded up in the other jar, but I'm thinking that if I add this to the house, it might change the tone of it a little bit, so I'm gonna do it kind of like a wash in certain areas. And then this part, I think I will end up putting some plants here. Let's jagify this and make it a little more rustic-y. So my original intention with the tape was to do like a wash of charcoal like this so that when I pull the tape up, it looks like a really crisp line. And let's see how that turns out. Ooh, those are so crispy. I'm a little bit disappointed. I did the house so big, and it just looks so disproportionate now. Maybe if I add... Okay, so at the very beginning when I was initially drawing the house, there were sections that did not... Like I drew on top of the tape for some of it, and I was thinking it could be cool, like a 3D effect if I drew some pieces outside of this area anyway. So I wonder what it's... I'll just keep doing that, and then we'll see if it helps the situation at all. Add some long plants here, just some lines. Well, those look kind of dead. Maybe if I add some lines on this side and then just keep on going with the lines, it'll all look dead. Ooh, let's add some smoke coming out of this. Whoa, that went a little too crazy. I think that would look really cool if I had more paper up here. But I don't, because I didn't think about proportion at all. Now the reference did have like plants growing out of this little area, so I think I might exaggerate that a little bit and make it like a brighter green. I kind of want this to look kind of rustic, so I'm holding this really lightly so that it does skip. I don't know why I chose this color. I think to try to add more warmth. Let's just soften it a little bit and blend it out. That's not too bad. Add some more greenery, just go extra crazy with it. Maybe a faint tree line. You know what? Ooh, let's just keep going. This is fun, right? We're just experimenting. I definitely don't like this corner being here, so I'm gonna take those away. Oh my gosh, that already lightens it up so much. I'm so glad I did this. Okay, how does it look? Okay, it still looks quite haunted. I think I'm gonna do the same thing for the door that I did with the forehead of the house and brighten it up, and I might take away some more shading that I did on the house. I hate it. Okay, the biggest improvement that I want to make is better composition. So I'm gonna stick that close because I want to do another one. But before I do, I think that I could improve the composition on this one and just go over where I had the tape. I don't know why that took me so long to decide to do this. Add a sky? How is this not a great idea? Let's just keep going to the edge of the page. And then deepen up this contrast right here, make it solid. Okay, I'm already getting more excited about this again, so I definitely know that the choices that I made were a good decision. At this point, I don't really care that it looks kind of haunted still. Usually what happens when I have this kind of reaction to whatever I drew, I always look back at it the next day and like it more. Should we do a second one now? Definitely yes. I'm gonna put this here so that I don't end up smudging it. This tape might be a horrible idea. All right, I sketched this up really quick based on another reference photo that I found on Pinterest. Let's color it up with alcohol markers. This is the reference that I'm going off of. I don't want it to look as dreary as the last one did, so I'm going a little brighter. I definitely want to keep the white trim in certain areas, so that's going to be my main challenge while I color this up. This is a little chaotic in how I'm going about this coloring. I love the color of this red. It's so vibrant. I thought about maybe using a even brighter one, like kind of like a corally color, but this one, I just had to do it. I think with Christmas coming up anyway, this red is just so festive. I really like it. Okay, next up, I'm gonna color in the windows. Again, I thought about using charcoal for the windows, but I figured I'd have better control with markers, and I can always make them deeper later with the charcoal. I'm so glad I added these flower pots. Although, I didn't leave space for a green, so let's see what happens. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. Maybe I can use a paint marker later. We'll see. But for now, if I just blend it out with some red, I think that that might help the situation a little bit right now. I maybe should have drawn these out. This is going to be grass along the front. And I imagine that this is fall or autumn, so this grass is kind of dying. Stick with me. I promise that the chaotic way that I am drawing this will not matter. This is a marker pad, so it can hold a lot of layers of markers before it totally shreds the paper. And I don't really care if it's super smooth because I'm going to go over it with other things later. All right, let's add a yellow for just some tufts of maybe like wheat. This looks really toxic. Let's tone it down. I'm going to use the grass color and tone it to look a little less like it's gonna kill you if you walk in it. I'm gonna stop right about here so that I can do like a tree line. I picked out this dark color for the tree line and I want to preserve some of the sharp blades of grass. And then we'll just color up most of the tree line. Again, I'm not really caring too much about the solid coloring of it. I'm just getting it down so that I can cover it up and start with my charcoal after. Add some little trees sticking up at the very top. All right, let's start with the charcoal. I'm gonna start with kind of the top of the page and then work my way down. So I'm gonna do the trees first. And I'm being super loose. I'm holding my pencil sideways so I'm not tempted to go in with like really crazy details. I definitely want this tree peeking out from the side. And then a second one. This one a little bit more loose than the first one. And then I'll start with the other side. I think I want there to be like another branch coming from this side to match the left, but maybe not as focal point. So as I move on to the house, I am taking into consideration the things that I want to improve from the last house that I drew, and I know that I don't want it to go too crazy with the charcoal on the house this time. If anything else, I might want to reduce the smudging of the charcoal, but let's see how it turns out with just the pencil and we'll go from there. I think I need to define the trim, so I'm just going to outline these. And I feel like it needs like some shutters. I think white would have been really cool, but it's too late for that. I don't think white would go on as crisp after the fact, and I want all the white pieces to match, so black is second best. Ooh, let's just turn these into like some arbovitas. Oh, how pretty. This is definitely a Christmas house now. Even if they're not green, it doesn't matter. I have to admit, the only reason why I know that these are arbovitas is because of the YouTube channel Garden Answer. I love that show so much. I watch it daily, and I know so much about plants that I don't have to know anything about because they're nowhere near where I live. Somehow, I have learned by osmosis. That's not a bad thing. I want this house to really pop, so I'm trying to make the background a little bit darker so that the house seems brighter in comparison. I don't know that I really need to do that because the house is already such a bright red. But whatever, we'll learn from it, if nothing else. I'm gonna add a little bit more texture to these trees. I love how the trees turned out, so I'm gonna match what I did in the trees and do that in the grass. And now I'm actually using my hard charcoal for this so I can get really fine lines. I don't want this to be really, really deep, intense black. I just want it to be really dainty. Define some of these wheat tufts a little bit more. Let me fix some of these lines. I went a little too crazy with the pencil. I drew straight over them. Much better. Maybe if I add some really fine details to this. Nope, hate it so much. Oh, why did I do that? Let's just erase it again. I don't love that I didn't plan out the road. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix these, if I even want to. I don't know. Add some last minute shading, just interest to the grass. And I am ready to take the tape off. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness, this turned out so much better than I expected with that vertical instead of square look. Yeah, the road is going two different ways. Like the further out it goes, that wouldn't work. Okay, so I covered them up and then I'm gonna use this pastel pencil and try to give it another go, maybe a little bit more thought out. So they should separate a little bit further the closer they are to us, and then they should get closer together the closer that they are to the barn. Okay, it looks a lot better. I'm glad that I did that. I have a green too, and I'm gonna make these, I'm just gonna go over and wash this a little bit with some green to liven up the dead grass. I want these white trim boards to look a little bit more crispy. And I think I'm done. I feel pretty good about it. What's simple is simple, and what's supposed to have the attention has the attention, and that's really what my goal was. So this is how the spreads turned out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.